Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Juan. I'm a yarn addict, hence the name Juan the Yarn Addict, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys for stopping by to check out my video today. This is a yarn and crochet channel where we talk about all things yarn and all things crochet, so if that interests you, please sit back and watch this video because today, my friends, I offer you another session of Whipping It with Juan. So if you're new here, hi, hello, and welcome. I'm super happy that you found me. The Whipping It with Juan sessions is literally a session where we sit down, we relax, we crochet, and we chat, and we talk. So this particular session, I'm going to continue the Q&A from the last video. We had many questions and a lot of them went left unanswered because there were so many great questions. So we're going to continue doing that while I work on a whip. So the current whip that I'm working on are my quarter panel situations. So I have a few of them completed, so I'm just going to show you where I'm at with this project. I've shown this several times, but it bears worth showing again because it is great and I love it. So the very first quarter panel that I worked on and have completed is this one. So it is a rectangle, 2 feet wide by 3 feet long, super nice. Okay, I finished that one during a Whipping It with Juan session, and then I moved on to quarter panel number 2. And this one here is quarter panel number 2. Super nice. 2 feet wide by 3 feet deep. And I completed that during a Whipping It with Juan session. And now I have quarter panel number 3 of number 4. So this is where I'm at in this project. My friends, I have tons of whips. I'm constantly inspired. I'm looking at things, I look at colors, I look at yarns, and I'm like, I need to hook on that, I need to work with that, I need to touch and feel that. I just can't help it. I limit myself to 12 whips. I still have 2 empty whip baskets, so I'm good. As long as I don't go past 12. So I don't know why 12, but 12 is the number. So during this session, I'm going to be answering questions from the previous videos and things. If you think of any questions that you want to ask me, go ahead and drop those in the box below in the comments, and I will definitely write them down and answer them in a future Whipping It with Juan session or a caking session. I'll find a way to be able to answer the questions, okay? So let me reposition the camera and then we'll get started, okay? I'll be right back. Okay friends, so I repositioned the camera. I have my whip that I'm working on. I'm doing a corner to corner quarter panel as I showed you earlier. And I'm working out of my scrap tray. So the tray I purchased at the $1.25 tree. I got a whole bunch of them, and as I make my scrap cakes, I put them in here so it's easier to transport 6 at one time as opposed to holding a whole stack of 6. It just makes better sense to walk around with the tray, and when not in use, I just put it right on top like that. So organization is key. So anyway, my hook, 6mm crochet hook, Furls Odyssey, gifted to me by my sister from another mister. Love her. Her name is Mishi. So anyway, am I positioned correctly? Yes, I am. Okay, good. So I have a list of questions here that were given to me from the other videos. I went into the comments, pulled them, and so yes, that will be our talking points. But first, what are you guys working on? What are your whips? I'm totally curious. I'd love to know. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And also too, if you're interested in showing me your makes, feel free to join my Facebook group. It's Juan the Yarn Addict and Friends. It is a group specifically for sharing makes. We take pictures of our finished objects or our whips, and we share them and we talk about them. So if that is of interest to you, feel free to join. It's a super positive place to be. We enjoy each other's company, and it's so much fun. So, I am, okay, good, you can see me. I always worry about camera angles and what you guys can see and what you can't see, you know. I want to make sure you have the full experience of watching me crochet and talk about all the things. So, the yarn that is on my hook at this very second is called Fiesta. It is Loops and Threads multi-yarn. And it's, as of the date of this video, it's on sale if you order it online. It's 30% off if you order online, 20% off if you go into the store and pick it up without ordering online. It's good yarn. I love the gradient in between the colors. It's not choppy. It's super nice. I thought it would be great to include it in this project just because it's different, you know? It's super nice. So, let's get to the questions. So, the first question that was asked was, let's see, do I plan the order for the yarn when I make my scrap cakes? And Catherine asks this question. So, Catherine, I do not plan my colors. I intentionally leave it go as is because I feel the randomness of how the colors fall and lay is part of its charm. I mean, it may be a total dud. The colors may not fall where we want them to, but isn't that like the beauty in all of the things that we do with, you know, the randomness of scrap cakes? I think it's great. The more random, the better. And so, no, I don't plan. In fact, I try to not plan at all. If there was a way for me to do it blindfolded, I would, but I can't, so I won't. I thought about intentionally grouping colors together and then randomly selecting the colors, but I haven't done that yet. What I thought about doing was a scrap GAN, but in 4 panels like this, except I was going to choose 4 seasons, like get winter colors together, autumn colors together, spring and summer, and then group them according to the colors I would use for that season, and then do scrap cakes based off of that. I haven't done that yet, but it is a thought, and if I don't do that, then what I would probably do is work with certain color stories that fall within the seasons and not necessarily scrap cakes, but maybe, you know, go for those full skeins of colors that are traditionally used in those various seasons. And then just put it all together and call it the 4 Seasons blanket. I don't know. You heard it here first, friends. I'm sure the idea is already out there, but who knows? A 4 Seasons blanket. It could be a thing, but not right now. I mean, we're about to go into summer, and there's enough on the hook as it is. I only have 2 whip baskets that are empty right now. I'm trying to clean it up, friends, because my goal is to have no whips left by August 1st. That's my personal goal, so I'm trying to clean it all up. But see, with June here, June is here. It's June 1st. This is the month where I have all the other things on my hook. You know, I've already pre-planned things, projects, and, you know, things that I really didn't take into account, you know, for the overall grand scheme of things. So I have to make sure that I stay on top of all of my whips and things. So, all right, so I went off on a tangent, but that's okay. It's okay. The next question is, how long have I been crocheting? It's a 2-part question. So how long have I been crocheting? And do I have any cake winder recommendations? So Pam J asks this. So if you've been watching me for a while, I am a huge advocate of 2 different kind of ball winders. One more than the other. So first, I will tell you that both of these ball winders are absolutely amazing. Okay, Stanwood and Knit Picks. So those are 2 amazing ball winders for 2 very different reasons. So, one, Stanwood is tried, tested, and true. It works like a charm every time. Okay, it's good. The drawback to a Stanwood ball winder is that arm that flings around the cylinder. If you have anything in its way, it's going to get caught, for sure. So that is the one major drawback of that ball winder. The price is adequate for what you get. I've seen them go as high as $80. I've seen them as low as, I want to say, 50, 45 or 50, depending on where you get it. So it's adequately priced. You get really great quality with the Stanwood ball winders. I mean, but I like Knit Picks because of the price. It's $23 on Amazon, and there are no arms that fling around the cylinder. The actual cylinder wobbles, and the cake builds up as the cylinder wobbles. It's really nice. Actually, I have one right here. Let me show you. So this is the Knit Picks. It's $23. So you have this arm here that you feed the yarn through. You feed it through the hole, and then you attach it to the cylinder here, the little notches, and then you just do this very slowly at first until the cylinder fills up with yarn, and then you can go to town. And before you know it, you have a whole cake. And I go all the way out to just before it hits this arm. So if you think about it, it's pretty wide if that's only the halfway point. It's a big cake. I mean, they don't suggest that you go that far, but you can. And it's $23. Yeah, it's a great deal for what you get. And so far, I haven't met anyone who didn't like it. It's a really, really good bang for your buck. I have placed links in my show notes. Actually, I may do that again. I think everyone should have a ball winder, especially when they're that accessible. $23 is a great price for a ball winder. So, do I have any drawbacks to that? So when there's a lot of yarn on the cylinder, you'll hear it click. It'll go click, 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 click. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the gear on the inside. It slips because there's a lot of weight on the cake, or a lot of weight on the actual ball winder, but it doesn't mean it's breaking. I've caked hundreds of cakes with the same ball winder, and I still have it, and it's good. So if you're new to caking up yarns and things, and you don't want to make that investment to the Stanwood, I would highly suggest Knit Picks. But maybe you already have a Stanwood. I would still try the Knit Picks. It's $23. It's not a huge investment, but it's a great bang for the buck. So, yeah, I will put a link for the Knit Picks because I'm a huge advocate of accessibility. If I can promote something that's $23 and it actually be really good, then I'm going to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. The other part of that question was, how long have I been crocheting? So I've been crocheting since I was 15 years old. I told this story in my very first video and throughout my journey here on YouTube, but I have been crocheting since I was 15 years old. I learned how to crochet from my aunt and my grandmother. They taught me everything they knew, and I carried it with me through the years. I started crocheting in the mid-90s. I lost both of them before the turn of the century. I lost my grandmother in 96, and I lost my aunt in 98. So I didn't have them with me during my crochet journey for very long, but in the very beginning when we were together, it was very intense. So I learned a lot. And after they both passed, I continued learning from my mother. Now, my mother really isn't the best teacher, so to speak, because she is a deaf mute. So anything that I learned from my mother, it's literally me sitting next to her and watching her do all the things with her crochet hook. My mom is very traditional with her crocheting because for her, it's not just about doing the stitches for the sake of getting it done. For her, it's like, how are the yarns laying on top of one another? How are they touching? How equal are, the stitches? So for her, she's very methodical. She takes her time. She enjoys it for the art of crochet. I'm not like that. I'm like, let's go to town. Let's get it done. I love going fast because I'm constantly inspired. I want to get the current project done so I can start on something else without saying I have startitis. I have to be able to finish things, you know, to prevent myself from having startitis. I feel. I know everyone's interpretation of that is different, but PMJ, very good questions. Thank you so much for asking them. Let's see. So Tammy asks, what scrap projects do you recommend? Well, I'm working on one. So, listen, the world is your oyster when it comes to scrapping and scrap yarns and scrap projects. Anything and everything you can think of can be turned into a scrap project. I always say organization is key. Organize your scraps. Figure out exactly what you want to do with them in terms of color palettes, in terms of organizing the cakes. Now, for me, I look at a pile of leftover yarns, and before I cake anything up, I'm like, what do I want to make with this, right? And if I don't know, I will still make the cakes, but it has to be super random, especially if I don't know. And all of the cakes that are in my tray are all super random except for this bottom one here. This one was supposed to be one of the sushi cakes, but the cake actually turned out to be a lot smaller than I traditionally like making them. So in the tray it went. Now for my quarter panels, I don't really have any solid black, and I thought, why not? So that's why it's sitting in there. But in terms of project ideas, outside of the quarter panels, I would say you can do a scrap bed runner. You can do a scrap gan. A lappy scrappy is like, it's what I like to call it, a lappy scrappy. So it's a lap gan, but scraps. The possibilities are endless. Even the moss stitch in the round. Like, I did a tutorial on my channel, the moss stitch in the round, and I used Red Heart Super Saver color blocking in the colorway Party Time. So here is what this looks like so far. This is 2 skeins in. I've shown this lots of times, but you could do this with scrap yarns and you'd be surprised at what it looks like. I mean, it will turn out looking like a piece of art. Just because of how the stitches lay, how random the colors fall, it's super nice. So those are just some of many ideas. You could do beanies, sweaters, hats, anything you can crochet with regular yarn, you can do that with scrap yarns, honestly. So yeah, I hope that helps. So as far as my scrap cakes here, I had to jump cakes because this particular cake, if you look closely, I've already worked into that a lot. I failed to change colors frequently. I like randomly changing the colors just because I like the way the colors lay when they change frequently. When you leave the same color on for too long, the color blocking, it looks awkward to me, because that's not the effect that I want to give. So I went ahead and cut it off, hopped to another cake, and I will randomly hop back to that cake to split it up, just because with what's left, there's only 3 colors left, and it's 2/3 of the way done. So again, maybe when I get to the long part of the rectangle, maybe I'll throw that on because you have more stitches and that would require more yarns. So I may do that. We'll see. So let me flip the page here. So the next question is, would I do a video of my yarn wall and how I organize my yarn? And this is asked by Getaway Crochet. Well, first of all, really great question. Thank you, Getaway Crochet, for asking. And to answer that, yes, I would definitely do that. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. Now, I have previously, during lives, I've taken my camera off the stand and I've walked around and I've shown yarns on the wall, but I've never given like a full tour. For those that are new to the channel, if you're new here, I have another room right next door to this wall here. It's called the Squirrel's Nest. That's where I crochet. It's a room filled with yarn. This is the studio. I have yarn in this corner here, and I have a yarn wall here, and I have yarn all here. I've never given an official tour. I've given bits and bobbles of things, but never a full tour. So that could definitely be a video in the near future. But outside of this wall and what's in this room, I've never really dug into a yarn tour. Now, the yarns in the next room are very haphazard and random. Like, it's not organized like this. I have the yarns in the next room organized by, like, Red Heart, Premier, but not color controlled. I have Ice all together. I have Hirschner's together, Mary Maxim yarns together. So that's how it's organized in the next room. But yeah, I think that would be an amazing idea. I think you guys would enjoy that very much. I mean, if you love yarn as much as I do, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Yarn is yarn is yarn. And it would be lots of fun to just go through all the things and enjoy each other's company playing in the yarn. So yes, I'm definitely planning on doing that. I just have to figure out the logistics because I have some yarn hauls coming. And I thought maybe let's wait for the yarn hauls to get here before doing a tour, because I may have to reorganize that squirrel's nest. I thought about taking down the cubbies that are in the next room and putting the big wooden ones like what I have behind me, because they do hold more yarn. These are great. They are too deep. So if you see 9, there's another 9 behind. So each square holds 18 skeins, the way I have it organized. So yeah, the next room, it's only 1 deep. So what I did was I bagged up the yarn, and I did, in the big bags, I did 4 in one direction and 2 on top. So each slice has 6 bags of yarn. And so there's 4 slices per box, so 24 skeins are in each square. And I have about 64 squares in there. So there's lots of yarn still yet to be put in cubbies. So tons and tons and tons of content in terms of showing you guys all the things. I'm super excited. I love yarn. Okay. So the next question, any tips on being more organized on doing or completing your projects? So let's see. Deborah asks this. So any tips on being more organized at completing projects? So, okay. I will tell you, to stay organized, you have to have a process, beginning, middle, and end. And you have to accept the fact that things happen. You're not going to be able to finish everything you start. That's a fact. Sometimes we start projects and we realize, you know what, we don't really like it as much as we thought we did. And so we put it in timeout. Or we give it a break, we sit it down. And sometimes in those rare instances, we frog it. You know? Sometimes we just don't finish what we start. And so we have to accept that we don't finish everything we start. Some things are just not meant to be finished, and we have to live with that. But to complete projects, to have a process in place, is to first accept the fact that not everything you start can be finished. Number 1. Number 2, when you have your system in place, it should involve some sort of storage for your works in progress. Your WIPs should be either in a bag or in a tote or in a place where you know it can be uninterrupted. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a bag or a tote. It's suggested, but like if you have a place like somewhere on the table or on a desk in a corner where you know it's going to be left untouched and you know it's there, then that'll work. But if you can help it, try to put it into a bag of some sort or a container. That way, that is your work for that particular project, and you won't have to worry about it mixing with anything else. That does help in getting work done because you have all of your materials for that project in one place. And if you need to add to it, you can grab what you need, put it with that project, and that way you know when you go to it, it's done. A lot of times projects are left incomplete because we think we don't have the yarn that we need, or the yarn is tied up with another project and we didn't really take the time to think, how much do I need for that particular project versus the other one? So it's about organization. You want to make sure that you're as organized as possible with your projects. If you can't handle multiple projects, slice it down. Try not to have so many. Tell yourself, before I start anything new, let me finish one project and then hop on to something new. Or let me finish two before I start a new one. And you'll find that your WIPs will start to decrease. But yes, organization and having a plan. Like for me, I have 12 baskets. I always talk about these 12 baskets. Now, I bought more baskets, but instead of filling them with WIPs, I have filled them with yarn cakes. Because after I made the purchase, I said, you know what, Juan? No, you're going to stick to 12. There are 12 months in a year, and if I'm disciplined enough, which I think I am, I can tell myself, okay, Juan, finish one WIP this month, and next month, you can start a new project. But when you start that new project, finish another WIP basket, you know, and try for two. The push goal is to have 2 done a month and start a new one. But I haven't been winning that one. I will start like 3, 4, or 5 projects, but I'm also getting, you know, like I'll start 3, 4, or 5, but I'll finish 1 or I'll finish 2. So I'm still in the plus instead of coming out even at the end of the month. So like for May, for example, I started the month with 7 WIPs. I went from 7 to 10. But I've also completed 5 projects this month. So I came out positive 2, I think. I can't math right now. It's been a long day. All I know is that I have 10 WIPs. I've finished 5 objects. I've shown them on the channel. These other projects are not going to take long at all, I promise. I have, what do I have? I have the Sophies that I'm working on. I made no movement on that. I go to the Zoom meetings for Sophies and I have not moved the needle on that. Meanwhile, the members are like, look at me, I'm round 60. And then I'm like, look at me, I'm round like 30. And we started at the same time. But 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'm also doing like the moss stitch blanket in the round. I'm starting the NEM blanket, which is super nice. I was thinking like, you know, rainbow colors, and I'm going to include black, brown, and white. And yes, it's going to be all the things. But that's just one of many projects that I have planned for the hook for the month of June. So I really do need to get some things done now. I have an asymmetrical shawl that just needs a couple more rows and then it's done. And then I have another asymmetrical shawl using vintage yarns from like the 60s. Like these are super vintage, and I didn't do anything fancy with those yarns. I literally just put them on the hook, went to town with it. When it ran out, I chose another one of the heathered yarns, so it's heathered yarns. 4 different colors, I believe. And so yeah, super nice. Love it. It's simple, and yeah, it's great. Anyway, in a roundabout way, I hope I answered your question. I'm sorry, Deborah. I just tend to go off on these tangents and I just can't seem to stop. Okay, so let's answer another question. So what do I use the scrap cakes for? What design? Esther asks. So my scrap cakes currently are being used for the quarter panel project. So as of right now, I'm using 2.5 cakes per quarter panel. And so 2 feet wide by 3 feet deep. And I'm making 4 panels, and then I'm going to join them together, and then I'm going to frame it using Modern Granny. And yeah, I started this last month, I believe. And it's still on the hook because I put it down and I start other projects, and the inspiration is endless, friends. That's the best part of having a Facebook group where people just come in and they share photos of their makes. I'm like, wait, I want to do that. That's so awesome. I love that blanket. I have to try it. And then I have vintage pattern books that I go through, and I'm just constantly inspired by all of these beautiful designs from yesteryear. I mean, I really wish that the trends stayed the same, if I'm being honest, because a lot of the great crochet designs are from back in the day. You know, if you take the idea and funnel it through the timeline to today, it can really be something great. And, you know, that's kind of what I would like to do with my crochet going forward. I don't know how soon, but I'm studying the old patterns and figuring out modern ways to fuse it together. So a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, to make something uniquely for me. So, yeah. Another way that I use my scrap cakes is for like bags and baskets and things. Now, I don't showcase them on the channel. I should, but I don't. It was suggested to me by several people actually to take multiple cakes and run them together and make like a very big like basket to store more yarn in, or make like a bag, like a scrap bag to put WIPs in and things, which they're both really great ideas. It's just that, you know, then I start thinking, okay, like what stitch do I use? What hook do I use? Because they're all really good choices. Like everything is great in my head. It's almost like nothing is like bad, you know? All of the ideas are good. So I'm like, okay, Juan, reprocess, recalibrate, rethink, and all the things. So, all right. Let's see. So Denisha asks, does my Hobby Lobby have Chloe yarn? So I have not seen Chloe yarn at my Hobby Lobby. No, I haven't seen it. I may go back to look again, just to be sure. I'm not, as of right now, I want to safely say, I don't know. I don't know if they have it, but I haven't seen it. Let's see. Have I ever crocheted cool case covers for my kids? Alyssa asks. Well, before we go any further, my kids are my violins. My violins, my violas. And I've showcased them on the channel a little while back. It's not that I'm a violin collector or a viola collector. It's that I'm a classically trained musician, and it's been several years since I've had them out playing every day. So I've had them in storage for quite a while. I pulled them out recently to show everyone on the channel. I did a little show and tell. I did not play, but I just showed them off, and those are my kids. I believe I have 6 kids. But crocheted cool case covers. So I have not done anything like that. What I would be interested in making are pouches. Like, do panels in like a velvet yarn and do like kangaroo pouches and put the instruments in those and then put them in the cases, because I have the vintage cases because my violins are very old, and there's lots of space in those cases, and I feel like if I make, you know, these velvet pouches, it will cushion it, so to speak. Now they're safe, they have the Velcro and the ties and things, but yeah, if I do anything like that, it would just be for the violins themselves, the violas themselves, and not the cases. I'm not very interested in covering the cases, if I'm being honest. Okay, and yeah, let's ask that. So let's see. Mary asks, have I tried tatting? No, I have not tried tatting. I do like watching other people do it though. I call myself the jack of all trades, the master of none. Just because I'm like constantly learning and I'm always asking questions and I'm always learning in things. Tatting is something that I don't really find any interest in, but I'm always interested in watching others do it. I find that part interesting. So if I were to try tatting, it would only be because I watched someone else do it. But then again, who knows? I may actually get into it and actually like it. So I may try it. Not sure when, but I will try it one of these days. Let's see. So Janine asks, were there ever stitches or a series of stitches that I found difficult? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll talk about when I first started crocheting. So my crochet journey, as I mentioned, you know, my aunt taught me how to crochet, but the way she taught me was unique in my eyes because I started with my finger. I learned how to do the chains with my fingers, like wrapping it around and pulling it over, wrapping it around and pulling it over. And then once I got that down, I then got the hook, and then I learned how to do the chains on the hook. Once I learned that, then I learned how to do the single crochet. Once I learned the single crochet, I learned how to do the moss stitch. Single crochet, chain one, skip one, single crochet, chain one, skip one. And then I made my first project, which is right here. And I've showcased this recently and I've shown all the people. It's riddled with mistakes, but that's okay. We love that for us. You see all the dots and things? I mean, they're mistakes, but I love it. It's great. Anyway, what I found very difficult was jumping from the single crochet to the double crochet. I would always forget to yarn over. And my aunt would be sitting next to me. I'll never forget the voice. She'd be like, yarn over, Juan, yarn over. Stop forgetting to yarn over. It's not a single, it's a double. Yarn over. And so I just found it very difficult because I got so used to just going in instead of yarning over. So yeah, early on, the double crochet was very, very difficult. Now, even now, there is a difficult stitch. It's called the hexagon stitch. And I found it in a stitch dictionary book. I'll have to locate it. But 18 loops on the hook. 18. And it's a two-part series where you build the bottom part of the hexagon first in a row, and then you come back and you do the tops. It's almost like the Catherine wheel, except it's in a hexagon shape. And it involves like this super serious picot where there's like 4 chains and it's like all the things. And as of right now, for me, that is a very difficult stitch because it's not that I can't do it, I can, but it's all about the tension and making sure that both sides of that hexagon are nice and even so that it looks like a hexagon. So yes, it's a super, super intricate stitch, not because of all of the yarn overs and things, it's because of the tension. The tension has to be perfect in order for that to be pulled off correctly. So yeah, those are my 2 situations. And I'm very happy to report, my friends, that the yarn changes have been pretty consistent with this panel so far. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing. I like how the corner has like a piece, but it's not super thick. and I'm really into this color right here. This here is Big Twist yarn, and I love how it feels. It's super nice. Love that for us. So, did I miss any questions? Let's see. Have I tried macrame? Wilma asks, when I was younger, I learned how to do macrame. My oldest sister, not my sister from another Mr. Nancy from She's Got Yarn, my actual sister Nancy, taught me how to do macrame when I was a kid. And by kid, I mean like 12, 13, preteens. And I didn't care for it because, I don't know, I just remember leaving it sit and starting, I started projects and I just leave them sit. I would never finish it. It just never piqued my interest. And I got back into it, I want to say about 10 years ago. Again, got into it and just left it sit. For some reason, it doesn't really capture my interest in the way that I would want it to. But 4, 5, and 6. So, I don't know. I thought about getting back into it again because, I'm a channel now and all things yarn, because I am a yarn addict. I do like the macrame cord. I like using the macrame cord for other things. Various things throughout the house. It comes in handy. So, anyway, thanks for the question, Wilma. And I love that you have the same name as my mother. Like, it's so cool. Let's see. Did I miss any? Have I tried tatting? Case covers, macrame, Hobby Lobby. What is the advantage of using cake versus winding balls of yarn in your hand? Okay, so instead of using the balls of yarn versus caking, okay, what's the advantages? And so if you're caking up your yarn, it sits in one place and you can work from one place, as opposed to a ball unwinding around in a yarn ball. It's literally a matter of preference. There really is no right or wrong way. It's just, I think they both have pluses and they both have negatives or cons, pros and cons. There you go. I prefer caking over the balls of yarn, just because even with this yarn bowl that I have right here, so you can feed the yarn through either the hole here or here, and it gets caught, It gets caught, you have to fidget with it, you have to figure it out. But in a cake, it works, it just comes right out. If you work from center pull, if you pull from the center. If you pull from the outside, hopefully you would have like a cake genie or something that rotates while you're pulling the yarns out. So again, it all boils down to preference. I think there's advantages to using both. I think there are disadvantages to using both. It literally just depends on what you like. And that's really all it should be about, if I'm being honest. I still work projects up with balls of yarn. As a matter of fact, I have a whole, yarn bowl filled with balls of yarn. So I still use both methods. I do prefer this caking method over the balls of yarn, as for the reasons I just shared with you, but at the end of the day, both are good. As long as I get to work with yarn, I'm happy. That's all that matters. So, yes, my friends, I think I answered all the questions in this session, which I find super, super nice. I love that for us. So, my friends, I am going to wrap up this session. I know time flies when you have fun, my friends. I'm just saying. But, you know, stay tuned for another session. There's going to be plenty more of these to come. I always have WIPs to work on. I always have things to talk about. If you have any questions, sound off in the comments below. I will write down your questions and include them in another session of Whipping It with Juan or a cake and coffee session. I like to spread the wealth across the different kinds of content on my channel, so you never know where you're going to find out the answer to your question. So, yeah, sound off in the comments and I will answer them. If you like this video, friends, give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd love to have you. We do tons of things here. And of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated with everything regarding me and my channel. That is all for this one. And so until the next one, take care, guys. Bye.